Hi, I'm Aubrey Adams. I'm here talking to a family in Pueblo, Colorado, to describe the costs and harms to our community after the legalization of marijuana. And the husband's going to describe what's happened at his workplace since the legalization of marijuana.
So I recently graduated from college back in May of 2017, and because of the impact that I've seen on my community here in Pueblo, I really looked for a job opportunity outside of Colorado because I'm just tired of dealing with the marijuana and want to raise my kids in a better situation. Fortunately, I didn't get any opportunity to move out, but I did get hired from a small business. I say small business because it's still owned by some locals here in Pueblo, but they employ over 100 people. And one thing that I've heard these managers talk about pretty often is the lack of people that they get to fill a lot of positions, to the point to where they've had to raise their minimum pay out at this facility. It's a warehouse facility. They've had to raise their pay $15 an hour just to hopefully get qualified people to start working for them. And their number one complaint was they can't get enough people to pass drug tests. And so, if you're in a position to where you're thinking about legalizing marijuana, I would highly advise you to think about those things, because not being able to pass a drug test really affects the business because they can't hire people. They pay so much money to distribute these drug tests that as a small business they couldn't keep up with that. So now they've teamed up with different temp agencies, and their mindset is if they can work through a temp agency for 6 months to a year, then they'll hire them on. But unless they can do that and pass the initial screening with the drug test, the employer just can't afford to keep going through interview process and this whole amount, because as small business owners they really got to watch their overhead. So that was a big concern with them as well. Not to mention the stress. You've seen it on our police department. I was a former dispatch for the Pueblo Police Department, and auto theft is so big. But I mean, you call into the police department to come out, and they're so busy dealing with all these other issues that we've had in Pueblo just grow exponentially since the legalization of marijuana. It takes 4 or 5 hours for them to come out to a service call, whereas they used to be able to handle it within 30 minutes or so. So it's really impacted just the way of life. You talk to any small business owner or any business here in Pueblo, and you'll hear the same complaint of they can't get enough people to fill the positions because nobody can pass a drug test. And so definitely an impact that you'll see affect the community. If people can't pass drug tests, then they can't work, and so you'll see an increased number of people on government assistance and that sort of mindset. And we see that all throughout Pueblo. Not to mention, you can't go to the store without the median on all four sides filled with homeless people asking for money. And you talk to these homeless people, and a lot of them are from out of state, so they don't have anyone that they can rely on to help them. And what it comes down to usually is they came here for the marijuana. So
Yeah, that's such a good point, too, because I've been helping other states fight the legalization of marijuana, and I was just back from Vermont talking to Governor Scott, and he did a state of the state address last week where one of his key points was he wants to attract younger families there to fill the jobs that they already have. They can't fill all their jobs, and he's getting ready. He told me he's going to sign into law legalized marijuana for personal use and home grows. So my message to him is, you're not going to be able to fill those jobs because you're going to promote marijuana more. You're going to fuel the drug crisis you already have there. This is no solution to the problems you have. This is a drug promotion bill, and it's going to affect your state on so many levels. So just a message to Governor Scott and other governors around the country. There's so many Colorado families that want to not deal with this anymore. They've changed our home so much that they're pushing us out. We want to go to a state that won't legalize, and you will attract a lot of great families there. And we're service-driven people. We like to have fun with our families, and we'll be very good people for your community. We want to serve the needs of the people that need it, but we don't want to enable drug use and promote it and be left alone saying, you know, there's nobody here to help us, to protect us from the drugs. So,
Right.
yeah, that's and you had mentioned too about the car thefts too. They just came out with another report last week. I think they averaged 3 to 4 stolen cars a day in Pueblo.
Right.
And those are the ones just being reported. And then one of the officers was saying, and I won't mention his name, but it was public anyways, but saying that they're using these cars to traffic drugs.
Right.
And
Well,
then
and you
the-
hear the complaints of all the people that get the cars back of drugs still found in the car. The police department can't keep up with the amount of car thefts to clean out these cars before they're given back to the people who they were stolen from. So not only are you victim having the car stolen, but now you're a victim because you're dealing with someone else's drug problem.
Yeah. There was a lady last week that put on Facebook that she got her car back full of drugs
Mm-hmm.
and a gun. And she has young kids, and she said she thought she had cleaned it all the way out, but she found that gun, and
Right.
one of her kids could have got it. It really scared her a lot.
And or are they going to come back for this stuff?
Yeah, and are they going to come back for their
That
drugs?
is just
Yeah,
terrifying.
yeah. And outside where I work at a long-term care nursing home. There was a car stolen and dumped in the field, and sometimes they set them on fire, and they set it on fire right up there near the university. And I came in to work that morning. I remember it was a Sunday morning, and I came into work, and one of my first patients was saying, you know, I was really scared because there was a fire. I was watching outside my window in the field, and then come to learn they reported it was a stolen car that was set on fire. So
And imagine that if you are listening, anyone that's trying to attract students right there by
Yeah.
Colorado State University. Imagine you're a parent bringing your kid out to his semester of college, and you see this drug problem, you hear this drug problem. Do you really want to let your 21-year-old, your 19-year-old who's starting out on their own really come and be in an environment where, hey, not only do you have to worry about them dealing with alcohol and tobacco, but now you've got this other drug involved as well.
That's a very good point. And one of the ladies I know wrote an article about you're better off not sending your kid to Colorado for any kind of college.
Right.
You know, that would be scratch that off the list. And
Right.
I would agree with that. We're trying to get our kids out of here. So, and unfortunately, you know, a lot of people get upset with me because I speak negatively. You know, I'm sorry, I'm going to speak the truth because we're trying to warn other communities what's happened here, and because it's personal to us. They've changed our home. You know, we were planning on living here forever. You know, we got our little cute craftsman house and, you know, lived kind of in the city, but we're close to the mountains, and we were very happy here. And the heart of Pueblo are good people. So I just want to make that clear. The heart of Pueblo are good, hard-working people. We've just had a lot of outside influence and money come in here, and really incompetent elected leaders that have vomited this marijuana industry on us and personal use. And it's not just
And
the
refuse to do
commercialized.
anything about it.
Yeah, and when you tell them, they just ignore you. I have spent many meetings watching the marijuana license board and seeing the citizens beg and plead with them. Don't bring another grow to my community. Don't do this. We've never had homeless in our neighborhood, and now we're flooded with it. We've never had crime. Now we have crime, and they don't care. They just bat an
Falls
eye.
on deaf ears.
Yeah, yeah,
Because they're all paid for.
yeah. Unfortunately, I think that's all it comes down to.
Yeah.
So they're getting rich while we're out here paying for the costs and harms. Is there anything else you guys want to say?
No, I mean, you mentioned just the money aspect. I just
We don't
it
see
eats
it.
at my mind. Where
The
is
money.
this supposed money? Where, as a school teacher,
You never saw it.
I never saw it. I never heard of anything regarding, you know, we're getting this or that because of marijuana. The only thing we're getting because of marijuana
More problems.
is problems. It's just problems. And it's so disheartening because you really want to see the best in people. You really want to give people the benefit of the doubt. You really want to think and kind of in your mind think positively about your leaders, the leadership that you have for a city, a community, a state. But it is not that going that way. It's just not. And you know, you think to yourself, am I being just negative, a downer or whatever? But
No.
it's not.
No.
It's not. You feel that way for a reason. You need to follow that instinct. You need to follow that
Yeah.
voice in your head that's saying, hey, something's up here, and take a stand.
Yeah, and the truth hurts, and the people that have their head in the sands and didn't get on board when we tried to push the industry out, and they're really being affected, and wish maybe they would have not done this. You know, we're asking you. We're not upset with you. We want you to rise up now.
Yeah, join us.
Yeah, and we just want you to start giving a voice, and how disheartening it is to see Cory Gardner and Governor Hickenlooper fight to keep the drugs here, fight to keep the marijuana here, and nobody's fighting for our kids. Nobody's fighting for our health and safety. And as a mother whose son was affected, I tell you what, I wish I had a lawyer to sue the state, because you know, all they do is talk about money. Well, they don't say they don't subtract the costs.
Right.
Oh
And-
yeah.
And so you've seen half the ledger, right?
Right.
And I think if they really did subtract the costs on all levels, they would see a net negative. And if by chance they see a net positive, I always tell everybody, take that money, come pave my street with gold. It's not worth my son's life, his
Right.
mental health, or anything, and it's
how
not
much
worth.
you've paid out of your own pocket
Yeah,
for it.
and it's not worth any family, any
Right.
person's life. And you're absolutely right. I'm paying a lot now, and I make a decent wage, and
Right.
all my money goes to
Yeah.
the
Right.
recovery program and the cost of travel.
Which is
and-
out of state, so even the money that you would potentially be spending here
Oh, yeah.
locally is going out of state
Yeah.
because of where the recovery program is.
That's a very good point. You're absolutely right. Yep.
So,
And I'll be moving there to continue to support that community, because I don't want my tax money going to a city and a state that doesn't care about us
right,
and picks
doesn't fight for us.
drug use over our health and safety,
Yeah.
over our children. So,
For Pete's sake, the school over across the street from this neighborhood that we're talking about, they can't even afford to put in air conditioning. So take that into consideration. If we're gonna be using funds for certain things, let's put it in our schools and the benefit of raising of kids.